The U.S. Championship looks like an absolute joke title right now, worse than the 24/7 Championship, but there is a way we could save it. Now, sadly, this is all because of Logan Paul, and not only because of this picture, but because he was just a horrible champion, on top of being a horrible person. I don't care how good of an in-ring wrestler you think Logan Paul is, there was zero reason for this man to win the belt if he was only going to defend it 2 times in 200 plus days. Actually, there's no reason for this man to win the U.S. Championship if he was going to show up less than Roman Reigns. Which, by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't y'all trash Roman Reigns for not showing up to SmackDown as much as he should have been when he had an actual health issue, as opposed to Logan Paul, who y'all never bashed, even though he had no issue other than being lazy? Like, folks want to clown Austin Theory, but in my opinion, he's the last time this U.S. title actually looked good. And while a lot of people thought that LA Knight could have saved it, I had no faith in him. Not anything to do with LA Knight, by the way. I do not think he's a bad wrestler. I don't think he's bad on the mic, obviously. I think he's one of the best in the WWE. But for starters, he had no competition. Of these 3, Santos, Carmelo, and Andrade, Santos was the best on the mic. So if anybody was going to give him a challenge on the mic, it was going to be him. Problem was, before even winning the championship, LA Knight was already 3-0 against Santos. Carmelo Hayes, I was a bit worried on because I didn't know how well he would transfer over to the main roster, and those worries were correct. Because while his in-ring skills and charisma transferred over, those mic skills did not at all, and he struggled early on and got buried twice against LA Knight, which just made him not look like a threat to many people. And for Andrade, it's just the language barrier that really holds him back. It's the thing that's always held him back when it comes to WWE. It sucks too because he's one of the best in-ring wrestlers on the roster. With having no competition, it really hurt LA Knight to do much with the belt, even though he was defending it a lot. I do wish they would have created something for LA Knight, like a Waller effect or like a Miz TV, just something for him to show off his best skill, which is his mic work. And while Shinsuke Nakamura looks fantastic, once again we run into a big issue of not having competitors. There's no faces in the mid-card division. They were all heels for LA Knight. And Andrade is there, so that's one guy, but what do you do after that? There's nobody else. I do know a big name that people talk about possibly saving it is Obafemi. I think, though, ever since he's dropped that title, he's also dropped his stock. Ever since losing the title, all we've really seen him do is hang out with Nikita Lyons for some odd reason, and then never be on the show for like the past 2-3 weeks. I do believe, though, he's the one that took out Eddie Thorpe, and he's going to be in the Iron Survivor match. If it wasn't, though, it's likely Hikuleo, and that kind of sucks because that means Obafemi will not be in it, and his stock will continue to drop even more the more he's not on the show. There are a few other big names in NXT, like Trick Williams, Ethan Page, and Wes Lee, who could potentially come up and also save that belt. But if LA Knight couldn't save it, what makes you think Trick Williams is going to save it? It's really hard for faces to do that. Wes Lee has lost all stock ever since he's come back and became a heel for literally no reason. And Ethan Page, I feel like he needs a face to go against. And what did I just say? There's no faces in the mid-card division for him to go against. It could be LA Knight again sometime next year. That's the U.S. champion, and then Ethan Page goes up against him. But unless we make more faces, it's going to be pointless for him to be the champion. Now, with all that said, though, even though this guy did ruin the belt, I think there's one way that we can save it. Put the belt on Chad Gable, give it about 2, 3, maybe 4 months of him just terrorizing the mid-card division, and then have him have a big feud with Cody Rhodes. American Made versus the American Nightmare for that U.S. championship. I think this feud would absolutely cook. Like, this storyline literally writes itself. It's the American hero saving America against this horrible dictator. All of that said, though, I could be wrong. Shinsuke could save the belt. Oba could go back to being the ruler of NXT or the ruler of the U.S. division and save the belt. Or maybe Wesley or Trick Williams comes in. But I just believe the damage caused by Logan Paul is irreparable, and it's going to take a miracle to actually save it.